To become a great wildlife photographer, you must practice. Practice, 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 practice. Hey, did you know that you can build your photographic eye muscle just like you build your body at the gym? You can do this every day without a camera. I promise you, within few months, you will be seeing like a pro. And all you have to do is practice, practice, practice. And I'm going to show you how I practice towards the end of this video. Hey guys, this is 𝐿𝐃𝐄𝐒. I am a fashion and a wildlife photographer. Today I would like to speak to you about practice your photography without a camera. And if you can do it without a camera, then when you do pick up the camera, it becomes just absolutely easy, awesome. And you come home with photographs that you never expected you could get. But how do you go about doing this? How do I go about doing this? In order for me to give you that answer, let's just see what we can do here. Can we break down what is photography? Photography has two different sides to it. One is seeing. If you see something, then you transfer that visual over with the help of a device to capturing it. So you see and then you capture. We're not going to talk about the capture side of things. We're only going to talk about the visual, the seeing side of things. Before I started to do my practice, I noticed that I could never, ever remember the things that I see on a day-to-day basis. I never practiced looking at things on a day-to-day basis. Now, what do I mean by looking and what do I mean by practice? Now, when I am sitting at my desk and I see a hard drive sitting over there, if I look at the hard drive and change my position a little bit, it looks differently. The same thing is with a glass of water. If I have a glass of water in front of me and I see it from up above compared to below, it's different. We need to learn how to see things the way we want others to see as photographers. So if I take a glass of water and I see it from the top, the glass of water appears to be short. When I see the same glass of water with below, when I put my head really down and the glass of water is gigantic and big, it looks big and it looks, in my opinion, powerful and beautiful. Now you may say to me, 𝐿𝐃𝐒, how are you going to transfer all this information over to wildlife? Well, for one, it's not just wildlife. It can be fashion. I do it for fashion. It can also be done for wildlife. It can be done all the way if you learn to see things look differently. Now, imagine if you take your glass of water concept and you go into the wild photographing horses or photographing an animal that is super powerful, and you go and you take a photograph of that animal, let's say a lion or a tiger or a horse, and you photograph that animal from up above, what is going to happen? That animal is going to look small and meek. But if you go really low and shoot from an angle at the bottom, this animal is going to look powerful and gigantic just the way it is supposed to be. That's what I mean by day-to-day seeing. When you see, you should remember what you saw so you can see it when you want to see it in the field. When I'm sitting at my desk and the lights are turned on, I see the light hitting something. Let's say, for instance, a pen, hitting a pen a certain way. If I move that pen, the light hits it a little bit differently. Now, when I'm out in the field in wildlife photography, photographing, we are -7 heading out with Siggy, who is my lifeline, actually.
Hello.
I don't like the way the shadows are looking on my subject, then I can move myself. Where did I learn this? I learned it at my desk. I learned to see at my desk, or I learned to see when I'm driving, or I learned to see when I'm walking on the streets. I'm looking at the light at people's faces. I'm looking at the structure of their body in a different way. I'm noticing and putting it into my brain. And that's what I mean by you can learn to see without a camera. So when you do have your camera in your hand, you can see, and change things around and utilize all the information that you have seen on a day-to-day basis. So when I'm home watching TV, I'm looking at the frame, and that is an angle that I'm looking at. I'm looking at the edge of the couch, and that is an angle. Those are lines that I'm looking at. Now you take those lines and you put it into a frame, it becomes a photograph, and it also becomes the way you framed it. Now, if I frame it in a certain way where all the lines are moving into one direction, whether it be a couch or whether it be an elephant or it be a horse or it be a bird, the principle is the same. Practicing on a daily basis, looking at lines, looking at shadows, looking at light, looking at anything that you feel attracted to, right? And then trying to see it a little bit differently, trying to see it with a different shadow, trying to see it with a different angle, trying to make it look better. You don't need a camera for that. You can be on your couch watching television, and then you can look at your coffee table and say, hey, wait a minute, the coffee table, when the television is on, the reflection is on the coffee table and it looks XYZ. Now, if I want it to be different, how am I going to look at it? And then maybe you'll move a little bit. Maybe you will shut the light and you'll see what is the reflective surface doing. Maybe there are things that you will do on a day-to-day basis without a camera that you can utilize them in the field. I do that all the time, 24/7. I think it's become just a habit. So the way I make it easier for myself is I say to myself, today I am going to look at people's nose. Now, if I meet 10 people, I will focus on their nose and figure out what I like about a nose and what I don't like about a nose. The next day, I am going to go out and I'm going to say to myself, I'm only going to notice the wheels of a car. And I notice the wheels of a car. Every car has a different wheel. Every tire has a different kind of a curve to it. Now, every tire has a different kind of a hub to it. Now, if you notice all these things and you see how the light is hitting them differently and where the shadows are being cast differently, you will take that information and you will go out on the field and you will utilize that information. You will learn to absorb and make things look better because you've already practiced on a day-to-day basis, every single day, few hours a day. It becomes a habit that you start to look at things and say, if I look at it differently, what's going to happen? If I look at it this way, what's going to happen? If I turn around, is the light going to reflect differently? Or if I stay still, is the light going to be a little bit different? If I look at the same thing, a coffee mug early in the morning, is that going to look the same way as I look at it in the evening? Has the color of the light changed? Has the shadow changed? Is it me? Is it my emotions that after a whole day I'm tired and it's making me look at things differently? All that information, the constant thinking of lines, shadows, you take that information on a day-to-day basis. You take that, you put that into your wildlife. When you are out there in the field and you photograph, you will be helping yourself and telling yourself, I don't like this and I like this. Hey, you know what? I saw something on my desk with the glass, and if I moved a little bit, it looked different. Why don't I try the same thing here? And that is what's going to make you 1,000 times a better photographer, because now you are giving yourself more choice. You have learned to see without a camera, and now you're seeing it with the camera, and everything looks much, much, much better because Now you're focused, because if I look right now, I'm looking at the camera that's in front of me. I'm looking at the tripod. I'm looking at the lights. I'm looking at all these things. But when I'm looking through a camera, I'm only seeing my camera in front of me. Now I can reposition myself. So if you learn to see without a camera and then you have a camera in your hand, you will make it much better composition. You will see light differently. You will see shapes differently. You will see the world in a different way. Give yourself that. Say that to yourself. Today I'm going to see tires. Tomorrow I'm going to see people wearing jeans. The next day I'm going to see shadows cast by a car where the sun is hitting them. So you give yourself these tasks and just keep seeing it in a different way, and take that information, keep it here, go to the wildlife, go to your location and use it there. I promise you, your photographs are going to be much better. I mean, after 3 months, 6 months, this becomes a habit that you just can't give it up, right? It becomes a habit. You don't even have to think. You don't even have to think. You're looking at patterns, you're looking at colors, you're looking at shapes, you're looking at lighting, and it just becomes second nature without a camera. You don't need a camera. You don't need to walk around with a camera. But when you do get a camera in hand, all that memory that you have put into your brain is going to come out. And the reason why I say this to you, that you got to think of what you see, is because we see, as humans, we see so much, but we see nothing because we don't keep it in our brain. But when you start to keep it in your brain, when you see things, absorb things, look at them differently, your brain starts to register and remember all of this. And then when you are out in the field, you'll use that information to make better photographs. I hope this has helped you guys. I will speak to you guys soon. I've been told many times to ask you guys to subscribe, like, and so on. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm just going to say, watch the entire video. Thank you. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.